AI is getting added to just about everything at the moment. Every tool wants to tell you about it. AI tool, AI assistant, AI copilot, whatever it may be. They all have some kind of agent embedded in them. But if you've ever used any of these tools in practice, you know the experience can be somewhat hit or miss. Sometimes it's genuinely useful and helps solve the problem you were trying to solve, and other times it just kind of distracts you and takes you down the wrong path. So the question is, how can you make AI agents actually useful for the work you're doing? Not just once, but repeatedly. You want to be able to turn up each day and have your agents be reliable, not just one-off successes. And that is where agent skills comes in. In this video, I'm going to explain what agent skills are and why they might matter to you, as well as a few practical examples to help you see them in action. So what is an agent skill? Now, an agent skill is effectively a reusable set of instructions that you can hand to an AI agent. It helps to teach the agent how to do that kind of job well. So rather than just hoping that a model knows what you mean each time, or using the same chat thread each time and then makes the context window humongous and expensive, you can use your AI skill to help give it some guidance. The guidance might include when to use the skill, what inputs it expects, the output shape to produce, the workflow or steps to follow, and what guardrails it should have as well so it doesn't get let loose. In practice, an agent skill is effectively a set of instructions to turn a general agent into a specialized agent for your use case. And the best bit is, it means you haven't got to rewrite a humongous prompt each time or keep using the same thread and make that context window massive. You haven't got to retrain the model, you can just pass it your skill and it will know how to handle the situation. You can just focus on the prompt, solving the exact problem in that moment, not giving it all of the context on how to solve it. And I think the thing that's easy to miss is a skill isn't about making a model smarter. We're not retraining the model here. We're simply giving it a set of instructions and some guidance. It's about it being more consistent and more focused, which is the key bit. And as a result, it's more useful for repeated tasks. Think of it like this. The base model gives you the raw capability, but the skill gives you some capability structure. So now we understand what a skill is. What is a skill not? An agent skill is not fine-tuning. It is not retraining the model on your own private data. It doesn't have any impact on that. It's not some hidden memory layer where it can learn your preferences forever. It's not that. Instead, it's just a structured way to provide context, instructions and processes, and reference material at the point of use. This distinction matters because it stops you expecting the model to just remember everything, and instead you start designing a better working setup around it. So what are some of the core characteristics of an agent skill? Now, the first one is they're repeatable. This means if you have a task that you do repeatedly, such as in my case, creating video scripts, orchestra flows, then it's great for that because it gives it all of the instructions it needs to be able to do that reliably. On that thought, they're also focused. It will help you with a particular category of work, not necessarily every task under the sun. This is where you might have multiple skills that focus in different areas. They are also opinionated. They tell the agent what good looks like. They help set the expectation of what that output should look like, as well as what to avoid. And the other nice thing is they're portable. They're just stored as markdown files. You can easily move them between different coding agents such as Claude Code or Codex. You can easily share them between people. So it makes it very, very accessible for people to build skills and use them between a team. And lastly, they make the outcomes more consistent, which is really the missing piece when it comes to using AI. You cannot always guarantee that you're going to get a consistent output, but skills help to give some guardrails to that. Now, why should you make your own skill? Well, you would have thought in most cases, right? If there's a library of skills online, there's probably websites with them. You just go and find other skills and use those. But the reality is skills are very personal to you. They're solving a problem that you encounter. So the reality is, in most cases, I suspect you're going to build your own skills around repetitive tasks that you're doing rather than finding other skills out there. Now, don't get me wrong. There are definitely skills out there that will help you. For example, Kestra has skills for helping you manage your Kestra instance, but also creating flows. So if you find yourself wanting to create flows, that is a great skill to use because it gives you that repeatable and sort of structured output that you expect. So it produces a fully functioning flow. But if you're in my case, I created a skill to create video scripts using my sort of tone of voice and the sort of structure I use typically for videos. And so that's a good example where there won't be a skill for that sort of thing. And if there is, it probably isn't quite tailored to what I'm looking for, which is where you should build your own. That's the thing, step back and look at tasks that you do repeatedly, especially with AI, whether that is reviewing some data, whether that's drafting some scripts, creating workflows, whatever it may be. If you find yourself using the same sort of prompts to generate the same sort of outputs with slight differences, that's where a skill could come in very handy. The benefit here is it gets your preferred workflow, your preferred output structure, or your preferred terminology, whatever it may be. It's set up for your use case. Now here I've got OpenAI's Codex open here. And now this also works with Claude Code as well as other providers too. Now, as you can see here, there's a skills option on the left-hand side. And you can see the skills that I've got installed. But there's a load of options available too, such as GitHub have got a few, Notion have got a couple. And so these are helpful if you're often doing tasks related to those services where you wanted to know how to interact with them and deal with that data properly. Now, if I click on this Kestra skill one, we can see it gives you a bunch of information. Pretty neat. Now, to use a skill once it's installed, you simply just have to, in Codex, press the $sign. And as you can see, all the skills come up. So you can see I've got a few for creating video scripts, such as news to demo, news analysis, and concept 101. But we also have a couple of Kestra ones here called flow and ops. And so I can actually just do the Kestra flow one and say, create a basic flow that runs Python. And if I press enter now, it's going to create that workflow for me, but I haven't had to tell it it's a Kestra flow, what a Kestra flow looks like, giving it links to the docs. It's been able to go and fetch a schema for Kestra because that's what the skill tells it to do. So it knows the most up-to-date information for Kestra. So it's not going to use deprecated tasks or outdated information. And we're going to see it's going to build that for us in a nice repeatable format. My prompt was nice and short. I didn't have to go and spend loads of time trying to fine tune my prompt. And here we've got our workflow here. Now, I could tell it here to save it as a dedicated YAML file, which I can then import straight into Kestra as well. But as we can see here, it's got the format correct. It knows the company.team is pretty standard for us. So yeah, pretty happy with the output here. Now, the Kestra skills are just readily available on our GitHub profile. You can see them here. We've got the Kestra flow one. And as you can see, it is just a markdown file. If I open it as code, you can see it just explains what it should do with certain things and a few commands that it should run when it gets started. And as you can see here as well, in my .codex folder, or .claude if you're using Claude Code, you can see I've just got a bunch of different folders here with each of these. Now, if I go to the Kestra flow one, we can see it just has that skill.md file. And that's all it is to set up a skill. It's very, very straightforward, which really helps bring down the barrier to entry. You can use the skill builder, as we saw earlier. I can actually use it here, right? I could use the skill creator here to tell it a skill I want to make, and then it will generate me that skill.md file, which I have a repository here where I've been storing all of the ones from my various videos, and I can then just add those markdown files to my Codex directory or my Claude directory. And just like that, Codex supports it. I can then target it and have it create things with just a few prompts. So I'm going to create one more flow example here. I've told it to make a HTTP request. It's going to get the first product using Python and log that in a separate task afterwards. So let's see what it can build using this prompt. And here we go. I've told it to save it as a file as well, and we can see that what it's done here is it's got that HTTP request with the correct plugin task. It's got the Python script. It's installed the dependency of Kestra because I told it to output the result back to Kestra. We can see that the Python code looks all good, and then we can see here at the bottom it's going to output that back to Kestra. Then Kestra can access that output using an expression in the log task, and I could actually copy and paste this into Kestra to validate it. So we've got it here. We can see it looks like we did from Codex. Let's execute this and see what it does. We can see it fetches that data. It's now spinning up a container to run the Python code. And once it's processed that, we'll see the output at the end. And there we go. It's successfully done it. If we go to logs, we can see that it has successfully got that first product like I asked it to. So just like that, the skill knew exactly how to build it. I just had to describe the problem I had without having to give it all of the extra information about what a Kestra flow is and how it should build it. It just knows the best practices straight out of the bat. Well, hopefully you've got a better idea of agent skills now and why you should be building your very own. Let me know in the comments below what you're going to build. As you can see, I'm building some stuff to help me with building these videos. So I'm curious to see what kind of tasks you find skills are very, very helpful for.